So you want to buy a digital camera, but there are so many different types and categories available, all these acronyms, it's a bit confusing. So today I'm going to try and help that problem by taking you through the main types of camera so that you can perhaps narrow down the kind of camera that you want to buy and help make the choice a bit easier. So first of all, let's divide cameras into two different types. There's the cameras where you can change the lenses and the cameras where you can't change the lenses, the fixed lens cameras. And I've got a variety of both types here to look at. So should you buy an interchangeable lens camera or a fixed lens camera? That decision will depend largely on what sort of photography you want to do or how interested you want to be in photography. If photography is to you mostly a recording medium to enable you to capture those special moments in your life and the fun times with a minimum of fuss, then a fixed lens camera might be absolutely fine for you. But if you think you might want to get creative and make photography a hobby, if you want to experiment with the different kinds of perspectives and different kinds of effects you can get with different focal length lenses, and if image quality is of very high importance to you, then perhaps interchangeable lenses might be the way to go. So we're going to start by looking at the fixed lens cameras. So starting at the bottom here, this is your bog standard point and shoot compact camera. It's a typical, this is a 5x zoom, sometimes they're 3x zoom cameras. This kind of camera is a sort of at the budget end of the spectrum. It's kind of endangered now from the rise of the smartphone, but there are people still buying these kind of cameras. They're great for kids, they're great when you just want a different camera to your phone and when maybe your phone doesn't have a very good camera on it. They're inexpensive, but there are limitations to these. Generally speaking, the smartphone can do most of what this kind of camera can do. So people buying compact cameras now are tending to look for things in a camera that the phone can't do. And that's where some of these other things come into play. So one of the fastest growing categories of camera or compact camera is the tough camera. You can get ones that are just waterproof, or you can get ones that are what we call tough, which are not just waterproof, they're shockproof, drop-proof, crush-proof, freeze-proof, and they're ideal for taking to the beach, taking snorkeling, taking skiing or snowboarding, mountain biking, anywhere where the camera might take a bit of a pounding and get damaged. The tough camera is there to withstand that kind of abuse. And as I say, it's one of the fastest growing sectors of the camera market. Something else that smartphone cameras do not offer is an optical zoom lens. So that's one area where compact cameras are still doing pretty well. Cameras now with zoom lenses in excess of 10 times are still very popular, such as this camera here. This in fact has a 24 times optical zoom in quite a small body. So it's great if you are into sports or nature, or you're going travelling, for example, where you might want to zoom into distant details. Then this is what we call a high zoom compact camera. It's still small enough to fit in a pocket, but it has a pretty long zoom on it. So this camera may have a high zoom, but it doesn't have a viewfinder, which means that when you're zoomed in a long way, holding it steady can be a little bit tricky sometimes. That's where this kind of camera comes into its own. This is what we call a bridge camera, and it may look like a digital SLR, but it has a fixed built-in lens, but it's a 30 times zoom lens, which is far greater than you can get from any digital SLR lens. And even if there was a 30 times digital SLR lens available, it would cost thousands of dollars and weigh about 5 times as much as the whole camera. So this kind of thing is great for the kind of person that likes a digital SLR kind of experience, likes a viewfinder and likes a big zoom, but all in one package. So the final category of compact camera is the premium or enthusiast compact, as we call it. Now this is a compact camera which looks pretty much like any other compact camera, but it's aimed at the more serious, more advanced photographer. In truth, probably more likely to be bought by someone who already owns a digital SLR, but who wants something smaller to carry around when they haven't got their DSLR with them. Now these kind of cameras offer things like very fast maximum aperture lenses, like this one has an f1.8 lens. They offer larger sensors, the ability to shoot RAW, and the ability to have full control over all the manual settings over apertures and shutter speed and ISO, ideally in an easy to access way that doesn't involve plunging too far into the menus. Cameras like this are more likely to be owned by the digital SLR using photographer who wants to have the same control they get on the DSLR but in a compact camera. So that is the basic types of fixed lens camera. The one that you decide to buy, it depends on whether you want a big zoom, whether you want a viewfinder, whether you want it to be rugged or not, how much you want to spend, and whether you want things like connectivity, whether you want special video features or any other kind of features. So now we're going to move on to the interchangeable lens cameras.